Okay, hello everybody, this is Vester. I'm here with Killy, and we're going to talk about the aftermath of the Canada Cup Masters series. Damn, man, it's been a long weekend. How's it going, Killy?
Not too bad. That weekend was really long.
It was really long, man. Like, it was an exhausting tournament. So, let's talk about the format first. I'm sure you guys have seen a huge difference when a tournament is ran with, like, a round-robin first-to-7 format. You really see how much the game is like different when you have a really long set. You can see a lot of crazy comebacks from Daigo, for example, and we can see some huge stomps too, some 7-0. So, I don't know, what do you think of the first to 7 format, Killy?
This is my personal favorite format, just the whole round-robin long set format. It really showcases the player skill level because it shows a back and forth. Adaptations from both players to different strategies, more room for counter picking. It's less of a risk in general trying to counter pick in a 2 out of 3 format.
Yeah, because like when people counter pick, you gotta do it early, and you have to have basically like you only have so many matches, right? And usually when people counter pick and they lose, they always think in their mind, "Oh, I should have stuck with my guns." But then at the same time, when they don't counter pick, after the match, they're always like, "Oh, I should have counterpicked." You know what I mean? Like, you're always gonna have that in the back of your head after the match. But when you play a long set, first to 7, it clears the air a little bit. You have room to make those decisions and not regret them. So, I've seen the feedback on the first to 7. A lot of people like it a lot. Like I said, the only problem with the first to 7, and especially a round robin format, is the fact that it's so time consuming.
Well, yeah, look, you had 8 players doing a round robin,
players,
and it took like 3 days to do it. Not necessarily like a full 3 days, but I'm sure like if you were to add up all the hours, it probably took a good solid like day and a half to maybe 2 days to do it. It's really time consuming, and that's at the highest level of play. Obviously, this isn't a format that you can do in an open tournament format like Evo or a major of some sort. It can only be done in like an exhibition style tournament where you do invited players or qualified players. Like maybe if you held a qualifier throughout the year. Like I would love to see this format for Capcom Cup if they did it over a span of a few days. It would make the most sense considering you spend all year qualifying for Capcom Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. Like, there's 2 sides to the coin, right? Like, people want to just see good players play. You know, when you have 8 really great players, every match is going to be exciting. But when you have an open tournament, sometimes people don't want to just see Joe Blow get bodied, you know, by Bonchan, for example. But at the same time, it's great that our open tournaments that we have in the FGC, they allow, you know, Joe Blow to have the opportunity to play Daigo or Bonchan or whoever, right? It's great to have that opportunity.
It gives them exposure as well. Like they might be the next major player in the future if they can beat one of these top players. It's like it's not necessarily that a new player can't beat one of these players. There's always that opportunity that they can, and consistently, just no one's given them that opportunity. They've never had the opportunity to play them. Like look at Jace the Ace, for example. He was a new player, really young when he started. And now look at him. Like he is arguably one of the best Viper players around, and like one of the best in NorCal, SoCal.
Mm-hmm.
I think he lives in Japan right now, or maybe on and off. I'm not sure, but like he's come a long way since he started.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like every player almost played 100 matches. Like that's insane, man.
Yeah.
So next thing I want to talk about. Well, we didn't really want to talk about this before, but I want to talk a little bit of the controversy over the pay-per-view stuff, which has been, like I said, just, you know, done to death.
Yeah.
It's been done to death, but you know what? We can't overlook it. We have to talk about it, because people are going to talk about it anyways in the comments.
Yeah.
So, you know, you and me were talking about this before, but you think it's mostly because people are afraid that if they support this kind of format, if they support the pay-per-view content, which is kind of alien to the FGC, they're afraid that maybe future tournament organizers might follow suit and continue this pay-per-view thing? Do you think that's why most people are against this?
I think that's one of the primary concerns that people have. That's one of the most frequent complaints or concerns that I see on forums, YouTube, all over the place. So I think it's a little bit unwarranted because you're just speculating at what's going to happen. It's not like every tournament's going to adopt that pay-per-view format. Like, there's so many other different esports that adopt it. Granted, like, they have sponsor backup and just like the right type of format to do it. Like, they've been in the game for so long that it just kind of works itself out. With FGC, it's brand new, it's foreign. It might not lend itself well to that, but I think if you can kind of compare it to, say, MMA or something like that, then maybe it can sort of work out, but you'd have to really like custom tailor it based on all sorts of things. So it's a little tough to say. I definitely don't see this working for an open tournament format, but for a big exhibition style, like something like this, I think you can sort of justify it. The other thing that people have to know is that Lapchi spends the money to fly down all of these players. Like, you're not going to get this kind of tournament for free. Like, he has to spend his own time, money to set all this up for people. So, like, unless the FGC can get that kind of level of sponsorship, we would never see this kind of thing happen.
So, the whole $15 thing, you think it's more about principle than the actual cost of $15?
Yeah, I think it's more on the principle side of things. Some of it is a little bit of pricing. Like, I'm pretty sure if he priced it more, say like $5 to watch it, he would have more. I think he'd have more subscribers for sure. Like, some of the other comments I've seen is that people would have supported Lachi on this tournament, but $15 was like the forced pay-per-view and the $15 price tag was a little bit higher than what they were willing to pay for. Had it been costed lower, say $5, more people. There were a bunch of comments that said, "Oh yeah, I would have definitely supported this tournament if it was like $5 to watch for the entire weekend."
I see.
So a little bit of price point, a little bit of principle, and then future concerns.
Like, I respect that. $15 is steep for some people. You and me, we live in Alberta, which is like one of the richest provinces in Canada. To us, like, $15 is like less than a movie or one night at a restaurant, one meal at a restaurant. So, but yeah, obviously, like, I think that for other esports games, they don't have this kind of pay-per-view content because they get hundreds of thousands of viewers. They are making their money back just from the support alone, from the ads, right?
And they have major sponsors back.
Extreme sponsors,
So for them, they don't really do it. I know StarCraft, Brood Wars, they had like some of those Korean channels and stuff like that. They had like a paid subscription service, but at least you get to see so many matches over the course of a year or something like that, rather than this one-time cost. I think this one-time cost you might compare to like older wrestling style pay-per-views and stuff like that.
The thing was, they were like an entire production studio.
Yeah.
Like a TV network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's huge. Lapchi is just one dude, and of course, like, he lives in Calgary in Canada, and to a lot of people, that's the middle of nowhere. And to get people to fly out to Calgary,
especially during the winter time,
especially during January, because it gets cold down here, man. It gets cold, and it's tough, man. Especially when I get people worldwide to come to this tournament. Street Fighter's online is it's so ass. You have to play, head to head, and to get these players out, yeah, it's gonna cost a lot of coin. And if Lapshi is willing to put down over 20 G's to run this tournament, then he has the right to charge whatever the hell he wants. But I do understand the other side of the argument. I do understand it.
The other part of the argument is like, what kind of the value that you're getting from that $15, and I think you can't completely emulate some like pay-per-view that other people have done. You have to custom tailor it for your event, and maybe that $15 is not quite justifiable for some people. And I can too steep. Maybe they don't see the value in it. Maybe they can't watch all the matches live or something like that. They get access to the archive, but maybe they don't see the value in like maybe watching 1 or 2 matches in a day, because maybe they got to work, maybe they have family obligations or whatever. Maybe they just can't sit down and watch that entire weekend, the entire tournament. So maybe to them $15 is not justifiable. I can completely understand that. Like, I can understand that. I can sympathize with people who can justify it that way. It's no different than someone saying like, I can't justify paying to watch a major like MMA fight. Like that's why like people go to bars who can, and then they charge a small cover fee when they host one of those pay-per-view events.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with the aftermath of this tournament. We'll see what happens in the future. But we know people are very vocal about it.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So let's move on to the tournament itself. So overall, how did you what did you think of the tournament?
I really enjoyed it. The first to 7 format just blew my mind because like you had so many like if this was done 2 out of 3, you'd have so many surprises. Like so many people would have lost in an actual tournament. But in this first to 7, a lot of people managed to turn it around and either made it close or flat out win. Like you had people who'd be down 3 games, like 5-2, and then all of a sudden they had 1 or 2 adjustments, and then they turned it around to tie it up or win it all out.
Yeah, man, a lot of really, really nice comebacks. Really good variety of characters.
Yes, the
different characters.
The character representation was really good. Like I think the only character that was actually a repeat between all the players was Evil Ryu, because he had 3 people using him, but it's like sparingly between the other 2 players.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you want to go down the list here? We'll go from 1st to 8th place.
Yeah, we'll
go player by player.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start off with Daigo, and actually, let's bring up the fact that our predictions were dead on. we said in any order. Because we were trying to save some face. But in the order we said it, it was correct. Because, you know, in the back of our heads, we said Daigo, Kazunoko, Xian, you know. But I'm sure you and me could agree that we predicted Xian to get 3rd, right?
Yeah.
It was more of a toss-up between Daigo and Kazunoko.
Yeah.
But, like I said, let's talk about Daigo. It's obvious that the long format 1st to 7 benefits Daigo greatly, because you can really see Daigo's potential, and one of his biggest strengths is the ability to adapt.
Not only that, but like in this type of format, it also gives Daigo the advantage to research all of his opponents and all the future matchups or potential matchups he can play. So when you have that kind of format, like that's where Daigo is at his best. But if you actually watch through the matches, if this was 2 out of 3, he would have lost to a lot of these players.
Yeah, man, he would have lost to a lot of players. Let's look down the list of who Daigo would have lost to. He would have lost to. I
think Pepeday for sure. He would have lost to. It was 2 out of 3.
Yep. Let's see here. I'm trying.
PR Rog. He would have lost to PR Rog. It was 2 out of 3.
Yep. I'm trying to look down the list here as fast as I can. He would have still beat Kazunoko.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
He still would have been Snake Eyez.
He would have lost to Xian.
Xian, yeah, he would have lost
to Xian. Like, that's a lot of matches, man, that like would have been totally different. And people would have been super salty. You know,
I would have been salty.
Yeah.
I would have been so salty.
Yeah, for sure, man. So that 1st to 7 format really changes a lot of things in the tournament, man. You know, if it was 1st to 3, it would have been business as usual. You know, Daigo getting bopped. Yeah. It's like we said, but yeah, that 1st to 7 format really shows, and it's great, man. Like that's good. Like it's good that Daigo was able to pull through on those matches. He definitely deserved to win that tournament. His record was what, 6-1? He just lost to one guy.
Yeah, he only lost to Xiao Hai. His game record was 48-1 wins, 34 losses, so he ended up with a plus 14 differential.
That's crazy, man. And another thing too is that he stuck with his guns, Evil Ryu, all the way. Do you think the nerf to Evil Ryu showed in any of the matches? Do you think it showed?
Definitely showed. I think in particular against the Balrog matchup, so against Pure Rog, you could definitely see that minus 50 health made a huge difference in some of those rounds. Like Pure Rog was so on point with his combos, like those EX Rush Punch combos, and like all of a sudden you just see Daigo's life melt away. It's like already he was down like 60% life and in stun territory. It was just so scary.
When PR played Daigo, I swear, man, Daigo just was never blocking. He got hit by everything. I thought something was wrong with his joystick.
It's like he was challenging a lot of Rog's buttons, and it's really hard because it's like after hit or block, most of the time Rog's at frame advantage, so it's like he's trying to challenge something, and it's hard. But at the same time, Rog is such a bully that when do you get to push buttons on him, right? And that's where you're trying to find that sweet spot and when you can actually challenge Rog in his pressure. But like towards the end, you could see Daigo had to respect the pressure. Like there was some times when he was in the corner getting pressured, he had like the patience of Buddha, man. Like he was just not pushing buttons, not taking throws, didn't fall for the frame traps, match detected throws, didn't fall for the focus attack dates. Like just really on point defense towards the end. But then like at the beginning, he was just like getting hit by everything, like so many counter hits.
Daigo was really on point with the low forward into fireball, hit confirm FADC. He must have landed every single one.
Yeah, he didn't drop too many combos, but at the same time, he wasn't going for like heavy damage combos like the Sokko combos or something. Like
I hope not.
He'd go straight for just ones that he was confident that he could land that would give him the damage that he needs and the position that he needs to continue his offense. So like you can see a stark contrast between the way he plays that character and the way someone like Sokko plays that character. So he doesn't try to imitate Sokko, right? Like he plays Evil Ryu to fit his style. And
I think Sokko showboats though, and I think Daigo just plays literally to win.
Yeah.
Not have any interference or entertain anybody. I think he's there to win. Like we can see because we saw that Daigo has further updated his joystick. Extra buttons weren't enough. We need to go one step further, and Daigo created a cockpit for himself by making a joystick shield. He must have took something from those KOF guys. Was it the Koreans that used it?
The Cafe Id players, which was later adopted by the Mexicans the year after.
Yeah, the joystick shield, because Daigo has he's got a conscience that people are looking at his hands when he's chucking fireballs.
Well, I think that was what Infiltration did at One Evil or something like that. So yeah, the other part of the controversy, I guess, that tournament is the fact that it wasn't a head-to-head setup. It was actually side-by-side. And I remember Lapchi, like on Facebook or Twitter, he was asking whether he should do head-to-head or side-by-side, and people.
Oh, he asked people.
Yeah, he was getting different responses, saying like, yeah, people who do side-by-side, some people, I think it was GamerB.
Well, what would the argument be for that? Is side-by-side just for the arcade feel? Like, what
argument no, the side-by-side for the fact that people can see the buttons, right? And that plays a part in the, sort of like, in the meta.
What?
Really? That. And then there's other people who argued, saying like head-to-head is the better format because of the fact that the other person can't do that. Or how like it can mess up some people. Like PR Rog's another one of those players who likes to listen, watch other people's buttons and stuff like that, and hand gestures as information during the match. Now he's sort of kind of adapted away from it, because I think when he went to Topanga that one year and it was head-to-head setup, he got destroyed. So and and the arcades as well, like he wasn't used to that as much. So he's kind of transitioned more away from that to get used to the other style, to that head-to-head setup. But like there are a couple players who use that to their advantage, and so I don't know whether he made a conscious decision to keep it that way, or what other factors came into play to make it side by side rather than head to head.
I think that's a stupid argument, man. Like, I don't know. I think if you have the option of doing head to head to not see the other guy's hands, then do it, man. Like, I remember back in the day, man, I used to play players that just, bud me with their shoulders when they're playing, man, because I was so close to them. It's like, screw that, man. Like, if you're playing like a game like this at this level, man, just have it head to head or have it in your own booth. But side by side, when we get to the point where Daigo has to make his own border for his joystick, man, like, it's kind of ridiculous. If you have the option to do it, I say just do head to head, man. Just just whatever, just so there's no excuses or whatever. Just, I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think head to head is probably the best format. Just so people can't make up excuses for whatever reason they lose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have this ridiculous of bringing in, like, next thing you know, someone is going to bring in a tent to cut out eye holes just so you can't.
Yeah, man. Just have it head to head, man. Okay, you want to move on to Kazunoko?
Yes.
Alright, so Kazunoko, who we predicted to get first or second, did not disappoint. He did very well, and we saw a lot of red focus attacks.
Red focus combos up the yin yang command grab setups, so just
yeah,
not,
man. Okay, so
like,
do you think the Yun nerfs affected him at all? EX lunge punch being -1.
Yes, in the Snake Eyez matchup, he didn't really use it that often. It affected what he would do post use, like after he do EX lunge punch. He'd take more gambles with like a raw up kick, or he'd have to FADC sometimes, or go for a throw. Like, it seemed like his options afterwards were more limited. Like, he was definitely conscious of the -1 on block. The shoulder, yes, the meter. I think the meter nerf was pretty significant in his play.
Still got that red focus.
Still got the red
every round, man.
Like maybe multiple times in a round and stuff. But you could tell like there are some opportunities where normally that combo he would have had enough meter for a red focus, but in those cases he didn't. He didn't have enough meter at the time. So
that's true.
So good adaptations on his part. It didn't feel like, and granted I didn't watch all of his matches, it didn't feel like he had to adapt too much to the players. Like, it felt like he mostly stuck to his strategy throughout. Like, maybe 1 or 2 adjustments here and there. I think the only match that I really consider that he made a lot of adjustments in his play was against Snake Eyez.
Right on the first day?
Yeah.
I thought that match would be more in Snake Eyez' favor.
I thought so too. I thought Snake Eyez would have actually been Kazunoko in that match, but it was really close. Like, at first, Snake Eyez was getting bodied. Like, I think it was like 5-2 deficit, and then Snake Eyez turned it around, and then he tied it up.
Yeah, it was a 5-2 deficit, and then Snake Eyez won 4 in a row, and he started adapting. But I think it was just a little too late. He lost too many matches before. Yeah,
I think it was just too late at that point. Not necessarily too little, too late, but it was just like, because he lost so many matches, he had to make adjustments in order to tie it up, and then you've given Kazunoko enough time to adapt to his adaptations, and then you don't give yourself that as many games to readjust, right? Like, by the time he tied it up, I think it was like 6-6 at that point, and then that's when Kazunoko made slight adjustments to counter, and so that's just not enough time for Snake Eyez to readjust afterwards.
It was really getting down to the point where Kazunoko would do a dive kick, and then Snake Eyez would just start churning and pile driver him every time.
Well, he was also like, he had to, at some point, he had to start disrespecting Kazunoko on Wake Up. Like, he would do Wake Up SPD.
Mm-hmm.
And just do it. Like,
man.
And then he'd go for like the really sort of gimmicky type Geef mix-ups or whatever. Just, he had to squeeze out every possible advantage as he could, just to keep himself unpredictable against Kazunoko, just so he can like take control of the match. Like, it really felt like he had no control over the matches in some cases, and then that's where it kind of snowballed for him.
Yeah, Kazu, he played a really good neutral game on Snake Eyes. And every time he got him to the corner and did his little reset setup, he always just backdashed.
Well, he tried it the first. He tried the mix-up. Like, he tried a cross-up shoulder. Like, in the corner, he would do, like, a focus. Like, if he did a red focus combo or whatever like that, and he got the crumple, he'd go with the palm and then crouch medium punch to force the reset.
Yeah.
And then if he does a shoulder, depending on how he times it, it crosses up in the corner. And then the first time he did it, Snake Eyes EX'd SPD'd it. So then after that, every time he did it, he'd backdash right afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Kazunoko played really well, man, and I still think Xian is an extremely strong character, and I think he's the best in the business with him.
He's not an easy character to use. That's the other thing.
He's not, man.
People like to complain that Xian is Xian is strong and Xian can be OP based on how Kazunoko uses him. But a lot of people who try to pick up Xian and use him, it doesn't work. His neutral game is very awkward because you can't just dive kick your way in. It doesn't work that way. You have to space your dive kicks correctly. You have to know how to play at certain ranges to counter like people's counters against dive kicks. And like Kazunoko, because he's been using this character since Arcade Edition and never stopped using him, he understands all those nuances. And like also like Xian has a lot of character specific combos, like so many character specific combos, and Kazunoko knows them in and out.
So Kazunoko only lost to 2 players, one being the first place finisher Daigo, and the other one I think was Xiao Hai.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on to Xian. So how do you think Xian did? He got 3rd place.
I was actually really surprised with Xian's play. Even though I predicted him to do well, I thought it would be mostly because of the counter picking he'd be doing. But not so much, actually. Like, I think he only counter picked twice.
Yeah, like, we didn't see any Dalsum. And someone did tell us before in the comments that he said his Dalsum was rusty. Maybe he thought, like, in the Daigo match, maybe he thought that Daigo went into the crazy hyperbolic time chamber and trained against Dalsum or something? Or
I would have liked to see Zen actually try it, though. Like, just try some, maybe at the beginning, to test Daigo if he knows the matchup properly. And if he didn't, he could pull ahead a couple wins. And then once if Daigo adapted, he can pull out Gen or Elena or something. But even with that being said, it was still a pretty close match. I think it was like maybe 7-5 or 7-6. Let me double check that.
Yeah, and like with the Gen changes, do you think it was more of a buff for Gen or more of a nerf?
It was more of a buff for Gen. So yeah, the final score between Daigo and Zen was 7-5. So I think the Ultra 2 buff, because I believe Zen used Ultra 2 against Daigo. I can't remember though.
I think it was Ultra 2.
So
I don't remember either.
The reversal thing the reversal being +5. Reversal Mantis Ultra 2 being +5 was removed, so he didn't really use it for that purpose. But it being used as a reversal in certain scenarios was also useful. I believe the damage got buffed, and it would full juggle. You get the full animation on a juggle. So after like Mantis Super and then Ultra 2, you get the full thing. I think that worked previously, but I can't remember. So the various buffs that he got made Ultra 2 more useful to him, but also being like Super getting the full damage. So Super to Ultra 1 Mantis, you got the full damage that he did before, which is also a really good buff. Or a reverse nerf, I guess. I think there were some buffs to Crouch Strong. I think it did 10 more damage or something like that. So that was Gen's like primary poking tool, so he did a little bit more damage in his combos. Which Gen needs, because he does for all the meter that he uses, he does so little damage.
Mm-hmm. And I find it kind of amusing how people do not like counterpicking, and they think it's kind of like a scumbag thing. Like it's funny how people create their own rules, and especially fighting games, you know? Like, you can only throw someone a certain amount of times, you can't do this, you can't do that. I don't know why it's only fighting games people make up these weird rules. But it's part of the game, dude. When you're playing in a tournament where every single round counts, like, it's not just the matches that were put into account of who won the tournament. The rounds were too. And counter picking is gonna happen, man. When you have a game with this many characters, and it's to counter pick. You don't like people think that like if a character's got a bad matchup, he's gonna lose.
Yeah, it's not black and white. Like, oh, I counter pick you with this, I'm gonna win for sure. No, you have to be confident.
Understand the character, and I think the whole matchup thing, how matchups actually work, I think it's not explained well enough. I still think people do a shitty job at explaining it, including myself. But people have to understand that a way a matchup works is when both players play the characters at the highest point. You know, you don't just take and it's an opinion. You know, it's not just a sheet of paper that we put into some computer. It's like, this is the number and this is who wins. You know what I mean? Like, it's an opinion. And, yeah, counterpicking is going to happen, man. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's kind of silly.
I think with 44 characters, you have to be prepared for all the possible matchups. Whether you prepare it through your main and just deal with the bad matchups, or whether you counterpick your bad matchups. Even Snake Eyez now. Like, Snake Eyez, after getting destroyed by his bad matchups, he's like, I think I need to pick a secondary character now. It's just Geef can't cut it by himself. Like, I need to start picking up secondaries to deal with these bad matchups. It's just enough is enough.
Well, like, it can go that way, but you do have a choice. Your choice is, do you learn a character that can counterpick your weaknesses or cover your weaknesses? Or do you take the extra time to learn your weaknesses as well? Because we do have players that are dedicated to their characters. Daigo and Kazunoko both use Evil Ryu and Yun only. And it's their responsibility to learn their bad matchups. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways.
Yep.
Before we move on, I still want to talk about Xian's Elena. I thought his Elena was amazing.
I'd rather see him main Elena at this point. Like, his
I agree.
Elena was so good, and I think he's the only player that uses healing ultra correctly.
Yes, which is at every moment possible.
Like,
he did some really good decision making, whether to make the healing just go, recover as soon as possible, or to just let it rip.
Dude, there's a couple times where he let it rip and he got the full healing, and it was like, that was the game changer for a lot of those rounds.
Absolutely. I think Elena is a natural character for Xian. I think so. I don't think it was just kind of a spur of the moment. People weren't used to the Elena matchup. I think that really is a good character choice for him, and I hope he sees that. I'm sure a lot of people are tweeting to him about that, just to use Elena, and I'm sure he's going to put in some extra lab work with that character, because I think that's a great character for him, man.
Because Zen, in my opinion, Zen is a technical player. He picks a character and he figures out the ins and outs of that character. He also likes to pick the quirky characters too, and then just figure it out. Like, and all the matchup nuances. Like, I remember back when his first appearance at EVO, when he was using Yun in Arcade Edition, in the Bison matchup. He was talking about when he was playing against Shingoku Neurosis and then the Salty Sweet or whatever like that. He had a specific counter strat for the corner pressure that Bison does with the scissor kicks. So he would focus the first hit of the scissors, then delay his backdash to cause the second hit of the scissors to whip, and then he could get a full punish. Little things like that, like he figures out all those little nuances to the matchup. So, like, he is this really technical player, and I think Elena is one of those characters that just fits his style of play.
Yeah, I agree. His lane is awesome. Let's move on to PR Balrog. Now, PR wasn't actually one of the picked players. He had to qualify for this tournament.
Yeah, so on Friday, he entered the last chance qualifier and defeated Air in grand finals. And he had to, like, he sent Air to losers. It looked pretty convincing. And then in grand finals, Air managed to reset it and then start turning it around. And then PR Rock had to switch to Evil Ryu to beat Air at the end to qualify.
Did we predict PR to win the qualifiers?
Yes, based on the players we knew were attending, we had predicted PR Rock to win it.
That's cool. Yeah, PR, man. he was doing some crazy combos this tournament. His execution was spot on, hey?
It's so spot on. And I think PR Rog was like a good fit for this tournament because Rog just has an interesting dynamic against the top tiers in this tournament. And the players and like that interaction, he created a lot of upsets, I think. I think he's probably the one player that surprised me the most this tournament.
Yeah, man, he was doing really well against the Daigo match in particular was really nice to watch. He had a crazy lead on Daigo. It was like 4-2
something
at
like
one
that.
point. No, it was 5-2 at one point, and Daigo came back.
Yeah, I think there was one point where he had such a strong lead on Daigo in the match, and then I think Daigo got out of the corner or something like that. Daigo went for this Raging Demon setup that he used the whole weekend, and then Pure Rod.
He invented the setup, right?
That setup existed since the beginning, since he got introduced. Please don't call it the Ume Demon.
I know that pisses you off. That's why I brought it up.
just like how James Shen calls the jab green hand whip into SVD the Snake Eyez. That's existed in Super Turbo. It's not the Snake Eyez.
I saw that day one when I played Vanilla Street Fighter.
Oh god. It's not the Snake Eyez. Can we stop naming tactics after players when they didn't really invent them?
So anyways, back to the Daigo.
Anyways, I think he was backdashing beforehand, and then Daigo did the demon setup, and then it caught him in the backdash, and then he just took it from there. Like
yeah. That's what mentally guard broke him, right? When PR was on match point. Yeah. A lot of people saw Pure Balrog did a backdash to avoid the Raging Demon, and people are like, "Why didn't you jump?" I think people didn't realize, or I could be wrong though. I don't think people realized that he actually backdashed before the animation.
It had to be before the animation.
Yeah. People are thinking that he backdashed after. It doesn't work that way. That's
The demon is like 0 frame. It's instant. Like basically, if you try to jump or backdash after you see the super flash, it's too late. You're already caught. So he had to have been in backdashing beforehand.
Yeah.
So he probably wasn't expecting the demon. He was probably expecting. So he was trying to backdash out of pressure or something like that.
Yeah.
And Daigo did the demon. It's too late. You're gonna catch him out of the backdash.
Exactly. So for anyone who saw that and is wondering why didn't PR just jump backwards after the flash, he was already in the animation of backdashing. He would have got hit no matter what if that was the case. So, but that was mentally guard broken afterwards.
It really felt like he got mentally guard broken afterwards, and I think he was choked after he lost because he had it. He was at such a commanding lead in that matchup in general that it looked like he was going to beat Daigo very convincingly. And I think after that one loss, I think Daigo won 2 or 3 games straight to win it over Rog, and I think he choked.
Yeah, he was literally one hit away from winning that set.
Yeah.
And that would have changed a lot of the tournament, too, if he beat Daigo.
Oh, yeah, if he beat Daigo, and then after Xiao Hai's beat of Daigo, the race between Kazunoko and Daigo would have been, it was already close as is, but that one change could have really changed the results of that tournament.
Absolutely, because Daigo was on a roll, man, in that tournament.
PR Rog might have been in 3rd place, I think, if he had been Daigo.
And PR did use Evil Ryu for some matches as well.
Yeah. I think he used it against Xiao Hai. I could be mistaken. Who else did he use it on? Luffy. No. He didn't use it on Luffy. Zen. I think he tried Evil Ryu on Zen. And that didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think so. I can't remember when he busted out Evil Ryu, to be honest, but he tried to use it a couple times and then it didn't quite work out most of the time.
And PR got smashed by Kazunoko too.
Yeah.
I don't know how that was I thought Balrog would be great against Xian.
Yeah, but Kazunoko, man, his Xian is just on another level. That's why only successful Xian player.
Yeah, I think PR switched to Evil Ryu though, the 7th game, but
I'm not sure. I think I missed that match, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I have to go check the archives.
Yeah,
later.
It was a slaughter. Okay, let's move on to Snake Eyez. So Snake Eyez, he disappointed us during his Capcom Cup performance.
Yeah.
But I think he did quite well in this tournament.
He did.
I think he faces demons.
He did okay. I think patch 1.04 really affected some of the matchups for Snake Eyes. So yeah, I don't think he did as well as he could have. But fifth place is still a pretty good finishing considering the level of talent at this tournament.
He had some problems, especially against Daigo and Luffy.
No, he beat Luffy. I think.
Sorry.
I think he destroyed Luffy.
Yeah. Sorry. Daigo in particular was 7-2.
Daigo, Xiao Hai.
I was talking about Xiao Hai. I meant sorry.
I think it was Daigo, Xiao Hai, and Pepeday that he struggled the most with. Kazunoko, he slowly, he did struggle at the beginning, but I think he slowly got a handle of the matchup. But then by the time that happened, it was too little too late.
That's a Sagat matchup, man.
People didn't realize Sagat was Xiao Hai's main back in vanilla SF4. So he was probably familiar. Not only is he already familiar with the character, he's probably familiar with the matchup because the way he played that matchup was the proper way to. That's what makes that matchup so bad for Zangief. Everyone thought oh man, Snake Eyez. Even the commentators were like, no man, Snake Eyez knows this matchup. You just can't counterpick with Sagat. You have to know this character. That has to be your main, right? And it's he's beating people who main Sagat, like Ryan Hart and stuff like that. There's no way you can just pick Sagat and win.
Mm-hmm.
Snake Eyez, and then he gets 7-0'd by Xiao Hai.
Yeah, 7-0, man. Damn, man, that must have been
He was doing so many good things. There was times where he'd get the knockdown on Xiao Hai, and he'd do a jumper on him, and Xiao Hai would do stand strong, and stand strong hits it's that KOF. I swear to God, it's the KOF in him, the KOF fundamentals that he has. Because stand strong hits above Sagat, it's a straight up punch, just like KOF's stand C with Eerie, right? It would hit straight above. I think he carried that over from KOF. It was the perfect anti-air for that situation, and he'd catch Snake Eyez with that.
Yeah, damn man. I want to talk about the Snake Eyez versus Luffy match. Snake Eyez, that's a run back, right?
Yes, that was a run back.
So that was pretty crazy. Snake Eyez been struggling to figure out how the other Zangief players were able to beat Luffy with Ichiban. What the hell is his name?
Itabashi Zangief.
Just beat him because remember he was playing pretty mindless against Luffy.
Yeah, pretty YOLO.
And Snake Eyez wants to learn. What do I do? How do I bring that to his game? And when he played Luffy, man, he really went super aggressive, man. The first two matches were insane. He really kicked the high gear, man, and played super aggressive. And then, Luffy won 2 after that, and then all of a sudden, just Snake Eyez just pulled through in the last 4 matches. It was 7-3.
Yeah, man, it was just so one-sided at that point.
Yeah, man. So I'm happy for Snake Eyez. Yeah, he had a lot of tough matchups this tournament. That's for sure, man. But he stuck with Zangief all the way. Anything else you want to talk about Snake Eyez?
The Daigo matchup was really interesting. I didn't know how that was going to work out because I've never seen that matchup at a high level between these players.
I could see Snake Eyez beating Daigo. I could see it.
I honestly thought Snake Eyez had a really good shot at beating Daigo, or at least making it really close. I did not expect Daigo to blow up Snake Eyez.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Daigo, I think, actually Daigo, Z tweeted that Daigo went to Hagejin's house and trained in that Zangief matchup.
Interesting.
And so he found the right tools. He was using stand roundhouse a lot to control the Snake Eyes' spacing. He was basically in control of that matchup all the way through. It was very little. It felt like Snake Eyes couldn't even play his game. Daigo's footsies were so on point against Snake Eyes, and then his anti-airs were on point. What I liked was Snake Eyes picked Ultra 2 to counter the DP, and he did do it a couple times where he jumped in and then Ultra 2 the DP. And that played mind games against Daigo, because then he started, once he saw that he had Ultra 2 stocked, and then when he jumped in, Daigo wouldn't go for the DP. He would second guess his DPs. He had to use Crouch Fierce a couple times. Other times he just let Snake Eyes get the jump in because he didn't know.
What do you think that Grihan nerf affected him this tournament?
Yes, because especially in the Daigo matchup, Daigo would throw out sweeps and stuff. In 1.03, Snake Eyez could have punished with jab green hand for free. Like, that would have been for free. Sometimes Daigo would teleport out, backdash, or whatever to escape some of the mix-ups from Snake Eyez. Had he had the jab green hand from pre-patch 1.04, he could have chased him down, he could have punished all those escape attempts. Couldn't do any of that. So it really, really limited him in this matchup. But I think that was a fair enough nerf because that jab green hand was insane prior.
It was insane. Okay, moving on to Qanba Xiao Hai. Xiao Hai, man, he actually used the most amount of characters in the tournament.
Xiao Hai always picks top tier. That's his model. He just always picks top tier. He doesn't care.
He used Evil Ryu, Kami, Yun, and Sagat. So
Yep.
he was all over the place. And I think some people felt that he did the worst out of everybody, but he actually got 6th place.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's because of his matches were either one or the other. You know what I mean? It was a flip flop for sure.
It's kind of one-sided. Most of his matches. I'm not surprised that that's where he ended up with. I kind of expected a little bit better from him, being such a notable player, and using top tier and counter picking. I would have expected a little bit of a better performance from him, but it felt like on day 2 he was struggling a bit. I don't know if it was jet lag or whatever, but by day 3, like on the last day, it was like a brand new Xiao Hai. It was like how I expected him to play throughout the tournament because he did so well on day 3.
Yeah, to start the tournament off against Pepeday and lose 7-1 was like crazy, a crazy start to the tournament for him.
Yeah,
but but then he came back, right? A lot of good matches actually. Xiao Hai beating Daigo.
that was unexpected.
Yeah,
And in the mirror of all things.
yeah, it was unexpected, and that was a mirror match. And some people were defending Daigo and saying, "Oh, it was a mirror match, so it can go either way." But Xiao Hai made some really crazy reads, and Daigo was throwing his fireballs a little too carelessly, and you got a lot of jump-ins on Daigo. And just when you play Evil Ryu, you can't afford to get jumped in like that. It's pretty much costs you the round almost. It just does so much damage. And yeah, like he has an extensive knowledge of characters, and that helped him a lot, especially against Snake Eyez when you use Sagat. And I wish I would have saw his Kami a little bit more, but there were a lot of matches that would have been just like Kami's nightmare. You know what I mean?
Like pure there's no
Pure Balrog, yeah, it would have been a nightmare for him. So I guess he was kind of prepared in that aspect. But you were telling me before that Xiao Hai does not have much competition to play in because he lives so far from everybody.
Yeah.
And he has, limited media to watch too as well with the restrictions in China and things like that. So I think Xiao Hai did pretty well. He could have did better.
It's funny because him and Daigo have this interesting record between each other. Because remember, this is Xiao Hai eliminated Daigo at EVO 2012, I think. And then Daigo hit Xiao Hai at Topanga one year. I don't know if Xiao Hai beat him in another time. I can't remember. But then finally we get this rematch here, and Xiao Hai came out on top of Daigo. So interesting rivalry, I guess. I'm not sure if it's a rivalry, but interesting dynamic between these two players.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's move on to Pepeday, our Kappa Pepeday.
I think he finished how he sort of expected he would place.
I think people thought he would place a lot higher.
Yes, a lot of people thought
he got 7th place.
And I thought he would definitely struggle in this format because it would be mostly a character weakness with El Fuerte. And sort of Pepeday has a couple bad habits that he has. I think people started to catch on to that.
With that Q-bomb habits?
No, not necessarily Q-bomb habits. Like, Pepeday likes to crouch tech a lot and like try every little escape. He'd backdash a lot, stuff like that. And like, he got punished a lot for that in certain scenarios. So I think people started catching on to Pepeday's playstyle as well as his habits. and I don't think he didn't adapt as quickly to some of the other matches. Like in particular against Pure Rock, like Pure Rock kept up backing like all of the tortilla setups or whatever the run setups that he do, and Pepeday kept trying to go for the grab version of that, and if you up back it, you can avoid it. So after so many of that, it's like you need to start using the splash to counter that. And it took him so long before he finally did the splashes to counter Pure Rock's up backing to avoid the grab, right? So little things like that.
That was a pretty good match, though.
That was a good match.
7-5 for PR.
I actually thought Pepeday would have beaten Pure Rock, but Pure Rock made some nice adjustments. Also, Pepeday is the first person to actually make Pure Rock and Daigo jump like madmen. I've never seen those two players jump so much.
Seriously, he made Daigo look like a scrub at the start, you know, because Daigo was just doing random hurricane kicks. It looked like Daigo was trying
Daigo looked so lost in that.
Yeah, match. He was at the starting. He looked like Daigo was trying to experiment with as many things as possible in the first, like, 3 matches, you know?
Like, seriously, I didn't know what was going on in one match, because you see Daigo dash, Tatsu, and then you just see, like, Pepeday, like, all over the place, jumping all over the place to avoid it. And then, like, Daigo's just, like, Tatsuing in thin air here, and you just have these two people just all over the place. I'm like, what is going on here? This matchup is crazy. Like, Daigo looks so lost. Is Pepeday going to destroy Daigo?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, Daigo figured it out. He got the answer, and then just turned it around. I'm like, what? How is this possible?
Yeah, it looked like Pepeday just taped springs on Daigo's shoes before the match, and it was just a matter of Daigo realizing those were taped to his shoes to help him come back. Damn, that was a really cool match too, an amazing comeback from Daigo. But I thought Pepeday had his number. But then once Daigo adapted, man, it was over at that point. You know, it was like Pepeday just could not figure out what to do after Daigo adapted. But yeah, a lot of entertaining matches from Pepeday. Man, he must be so exhausted because he's gonna do so many reads for every match.
But at least El Fuerte has a damage output now. Like before, Fuerte didn't have.
Well, those RSFs, man.
And even the crouch medium kick and Q bomb does so much damage. Q bomb itself does huge damage.
When you do EX Q bomb and the guy does a focus and you get that counter hit,
the wall bounce to the
roundhouse or whatever, that does so much damage, dude. It's like a quarter health, just gone. It's insane.
Like literally, I think one match she didn't hit the opponent with anything but EX Q bombs or Q bombs in general. At like 60% health.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. So yeah, El Fuerte's got that damage output now.
Like El Fuerte is a legit character. It was definitely legit, especially the way Pepeday plays El Fuerte. Like the smartest player of El Fuerte.
For sure, man. For sure.
Like, who would have thought El Fuerte beat Zangief?
I know, right?
Snake Eyez always struggles in that matchup, and then it felt like towards the end, like he gave up. Like he was so mentally guard broken. Like he's like, I can't beat this guy.
That's hilarious, man. Okay, so in last place, in 8th place, is Luffy, MD Luffy. Yeah. Man, we should talk about his plane trip before we even start talking about him.
Yeah, so I think Luffy underperformed because of the ordeal he had to go.
You think that's a legitimate excuse?
I think it's a legitimate excuse.
All right, let's start.
I think part of it is you have to deal with the situation. It was out of his control. It was out of everyone's control.
Let everyone know what happened.
But yeah, so that week, I think on Thursday, there was a terrorist attack that happened in Paris. And then on Friday, the day that Luffy flight was scheduled, there was a hostage situation as well. So tension was high in Paris already. And I think what happened on the Friday was like Luffy ended up getting escorted off his plane by the military or something like that. Or like there was some sort of lockdown on flights out of Paris. So there was a significant delay, like maybe a 5-hour delay or something like that, before he finally boarded his flight to Toronto, which is like a 9-hour flight. And then he wasn't even sure if there was going to be a connecting flight to Calgary afterwards. So Lachi I know he was calling Air Canada multiple times for updates and just trying to find a way to get Luffy over. And I think by the time Luffy arrived in Calgary, it was like late Saturday night. and I think maybe he had maybe 4 hours of sleep before he had to do the gauntlet on Sunday.
That's terrible, man. And he did have to do the gauntlet, man.
So, all things considering, he played really well. Like, those matches were really well. I think the other thing is that everyone did their homework on Luffy, and everyone had some sort of way to counter Luffy in particular. The other downside is that Luffy didn't get to be there on all 3 days to watch the other players to gather information before matches. So he came in at a pretty significant disadvantage. And it is what it is, right? I'm not surprised that he ended up in last place, all things considering. I don't want that to be solely the excuse for his performance, because I don't want to undermine the other players, because they came in with their homework. Like, Luffy versus Daigo did his homework. Like, you could tell, like, he found all the right pokes to stop Rose's pressure.
Keep medium punch into the spiral.
And the block string that Rose players like to do, crouch strong into Soul Spiral or crouch strong into Fireball. Daigo is always buffering DP, which would beat both options. He also had Ultra 1, which would also be like so many times Daigo countered that block string with Ultra 1. So, like, Daigo came in so prepared for that matchup. PR Rog came in prepared for that matchup. Zen countered with Elena and prepared for that matchup. Kazunoko wanted revenge for all his fallen brothers. That's what he was saying, and he came prepared.
That's awesome.
Snake Eyez came prepared because he was researching on how other geeks beat Luffy. Like, everyone came prepared against Luffy, and so I think that was the result.
Kazunoko wanted Luffy to beat Daigo, though.
Yes, Kazunoko wanted. He was waving like a pin or something like that.
He even tweeted, man, that he wanted.
he wanted it because that would allow him to win the tournament.
Exactly. That's awesome, dude. So it wasn't exactly for his fallen brethren. That's
part
awesome.
Of his teammate to win too.
He was a turncoat at that point. I could just see Luffy like just beating Daigo at the final hit, and then Kazunoko just takes his 2 fingers and pushes up his glasses.
Well, he got up and like started cheering when Luffy beat Daigo in some cases. He's like, yes.
That's awesome, dude.
He wanted to win that one. But, yeah, I think the reason Luffy got 8th place is partly fatigue from the travel ordeal that he had to go through, the lack of sleep, having to run all his matches on one day. And the fact that all the other players came in prepared specifically for him.
Yeah, that really sucks, man, with the whole plane ride. At least he was able to make it for the tournament, which is great. But,
well, he's got to fly back today, so I mean that's got to suck.
It's really
his whole weekend must have been ruined because of that whole ordeal. So
yeah, that's really unfortunate. Really unfortunate. But I'm sure people understand. You know, he's gonna get the support, so it's fine.
He'll get his run backs.
Yeah, he definitely will. So yeah, man, that's all the players. Like, it was a great tournament, man. It was great.
It was really good. I like the format.
They also had a hilarious after party too.
Yeah.
Didn't Lapchi challenge Daigo to like
a drinking money
match? Yeah.
Daigo accepted it, and then Kazunoko stopped him. Kazunoko just went up to Daigo. It's like, "Don't do it, man." It's like, "Don't do it." And then Daigo's like, "Okay, I won't do it."
Oh man, he's so lucky Kazu warned him, dude. Like,
he knows.
Oh my god, when Filipino Champ had that drinking match with Lachi, man, it was brutal. We were there in the bar, and I was playing pool with Kenny or Air, and man, I saw the end tail of that, and when Champ passed out, man, I saw him dive to that bathroom, just like he puked all over the floor, dude. I was just like, oh my god.
I love how fast the meme video came out, because like when we got back to the hotel,
we got back to the hotel, it was already up, man. It was from Base Monster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I died in that video. I died.
It's so good because there's the Champ reeling back in the resident sleeper position.
Oh,
and then they put the countdown, the SF2 countdown, the 9, 8, and then when it went to 0, there's just Dawson going, ooh.
And Lapchi was drinking so much before that match even began too. Like, Lapchi, man, you can't challenge him.
You can't outdrink that man.
You don't understand. Like, Lapchi literally goes out for drinks like almost every night. That is hilarious.
So that was pretty hilarious. Some of the other tournaments that happened that week on the Friday, they had an edition select tournament in the morning. Xiao Hai won that with Arcade Edition Fei Long. Kazunoko got second with Vanilla Sagat. And then Zen got third with... who did he pick?
He got third twice, eh?
That's and then he got third in Marvel 3 as well, Zen.
Oh, really? What the hell did he use?
Some more Doom combination. I can't quite remember. What was it? Zen, Magneto, Doctor Doom, Morgan. Kazunoko got fourth in that. VesperArcade won Marvel, and then Fizzy Cups got second.
That's cool.
Guilty Gear, Kazunoko won with Soul. That was kind of...
He used normal Soul, not Holy Order Soul.
So, so Kazunoko had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Both Xiao Hai and Zen did pretty good overall in that tournament too. So, yeah, all those players did really well.
That's cool, man. So, I hope we get some first to sevens in the future, especially for Capcom Cup, man.
I really would love to see a repeat of this format. Just top-level players doing first to 7 round robins.
I think with the recent involvement with Sony, especially with that crazy prize pot, I think it's more possible to have these giant formats. So let's hope so, man, for next year, because that would be just amazing, dude. The hype would be just insane.
Yeah, some of the thing Lapchi's saying, like, if he breaks even or comes close to breaking even, he'll do another Master Series. And said if he does another Master Series, the top 4 finishers will get an auto invite back into next year's Master Series. So that would mean Daigo, Kazunoko, Zen, and VesperArcade would be auto invited next year.
Interesting. That's cool, man.
So that would be pretty cool. I hope that is. Hope they do that again. Yeah, the commentary is pretty good too.
Tons of commentators. We had Seth Killian as well. Come on.
Oh man, I can't believe Seth Killian was there too. I was so stoked when I heard his voice. I'm like, is that Seth Killian? And it's like, it is. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome.
His commentary is very, very good.
It's probably my favorite for SF4.
That's cool, man. Yeah, overall, it's a good tournament.
Good production, I think, overall. Like, the production values are really good for it. Obviously there's improvements to be made, but it was really well done for what it was. Anything else that was cool? Advertising, yeah, I think it could have been advertised a little bit better. I didn't even know Seth was going. Some of the Marvel exhibitions or money matches that happened didn't really get advertised as well. So there were some money matches with Angelic and Fizzy Cups versus some of our own local players here, like B. Stuff like that. So yeah.
That was at the Master Series?
That was in the after party, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I didn't even know that. What the hell?
There's a lot of things that didn't get properly advertised, or maybe we just missed it. But I think, yeah, there could have been a little bit of an improvement in that. But yeah, the format, the tournament itself, like the format and all that stuff was really well done in my opinion. So I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah. All right, man. You ready to wrap this up?
Yep.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. I'm sorry about these long ass videos, but it's almost impossible to keep it short. But I hope you guys enjoyed the tournament. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the performance of the players, and if you guys are just stoked that Daigo has won the tournament. Okay, guys. We'll talk to you later. See you next time.